Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. The layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. My name is Mark Angelo Cummings.
And my name is Lena Ariel Cummings, and we are here for another wonderful show here in Silver City, and we're excited that you guys can join us tonight.
We are doing some changes. Before we were having shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. It was just overwhelming. I had to find so much stuff all the time, so we're cutting it down to Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And yeah, hopefully that works. If that 6 p.m. doesn't work for everybody on Tuesday and Thursday, we might make Thursdays at 9. But our entire evening when we do the 9:30 thing, and then we do for 2 hours, and it's just
no
like,
time for sex.
Yeah. But so 6 o'clock, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you guys have any suggestions, if that time doesn't work for you guys, we'll try to work around it. But I think, the show is on demand. We love the live interaction, but 6 o'clock is hopefully going to be good for everyone involved.
And you can call us anytime because we have a phone number, 575-519-5930, and we would love to have you guys interact with us via a phone or here on the live chat. We have Desiree, and she says, hello, hope you're having a good night so far.
Hey, Desiree, we sure are. Thank you for tuning in.
Started.
Yep, we are. And if you guys know of anybody that wants to get interviewed, I mean, one of the biggest things that Transition Radio did in the past was interview people from all over the world. Obviously, we're not promoting the trans agenda anymore, but if you know of anybody who wants to go on that are desisting, a parent that has questions or wants to share their story about their kids and the way that they were able to deal with their child's gender confusion or gender fluidity or whatever it is. I don't even think there's a confusion. I think there's just a
gender freedom.
Freedom, yes. And that, we don't have to harm ourselves. We don't have to take dangerous drugs, because that's what they are, drugs, and undergo dangerous surgeries to shine our personality, because that's all it is, just personality, preferences of clothing, and just being. And that's just something that is so important that this trans agenda is totally missing out, and they're just hurting people, and they don't even know it.
Just being able to be just the unique you that you are, and having the freedom to express yourself, however that takes shape, and we totally encourage you to do that, but we also totally encourage you not to do the things that harm your body, like surgeries,
right,
like hormones,
like the mistakes I made, when I was younger.
Mistakes I made too.
Yeah, it's like it's not necessary. And you learn that through the years as your body starts to fail you, as you start getting pains. I mean, 15 plus years since I had my top surgery, and to this day I still have pain around the area where the incision is. The guy messed up some of my sternum, and necessary. And then the hysterectomy was, to this day I still have adhesions from where they did all that they did, and has problems sometimes going to the bathroom because of it. And I can only imagine what the and the hair loss and all that other stuff that happened. Well, lately I've been gaining hair, but I lost a lot of my hair, and the changing of the voice and things that just were not necessary in my humble opinion, because you know.
You're wearing my favorite hat.
Oh, am I? Yeah, that's the hat that we actually.
That's the hat that I met you at.
Yes.
Where are those boots that you had?
I got rid of them. Somebody here, I wanted to read an interaction with one of the Facebook thingies. They write, bingo, how does using surgeries and hormones so drastically rearrange your physical body? Accepting yourself seems the opposite of self-acceptance to me.
It is, because it's telling your body that the way you were made is something that is not worthy of remaining there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're chiseling away at body parts and taking away parts of what makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, how is that being genuine?
It's not, and people have to go out of their way, so out of their way to try to prove something, you know, which makes absolutely no sense. Spend all these thousands of dollars to do things to themselves, take on hormones to try to change themselves, yet they're like, I'm now being authentic. No, you're not being authentic.
And then people are applauding them.
Oh,
like
yes,
they're being brave.
Brave.
You know, I mean, you're such a brave soul for doing that, for chiseling away at body parts, for removing things, that organs that are absolutely 100% healthy, that don't have any reason to be taken out of the human body.
None
other
whatsoever.
than vanity.
Vanity.
Which speaks and says, I don't like you. I'm going to call you a tumor, although you're a good, perfectly functioning body part.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's like mind control. The mind control that we're seeing throughout what's happening, all this craziness in our world that people are not even privy to, you know? And that's what today's show is called, A Secret Agenda. We've got some really, it's kind of like a bit, what's the word we could call it, controversial. One of the articles that we're going to read, but you know.
And we don't like agree with every single thing that we like read in our show and stuff. We just want to show you guys different perspectives, different viewpoints,
right,
different vantage points of opinion, and make your decision based on what you come to find out to be the truth. I mean, it's like, you know, we did a video on this one HSTS who is basically, you know, really not being very friendly and kind to women. I mean, and we've got all kinds of feedback from that video. And I encourage you guys to get a chance to go to Gypsy Blue Nomads and check out this video that we did on Angela Vanity. And
misogynistic, sometimes wears a dress and a heel. That's
misogyny, sometimes wears a dress. You know, it's you know, people need to see the truth. And we're not telling you what to believe. We're just asking you to take a look and see what's going on in parts of the trans community. And this person is not just one isolated incident.
There are many.
There are many like them.
And we're going to go ahead and like through the course of, you know, making our shows, highlight individuals like that so that you can make your own, you know, decision of what you think. Is this such a matter that people need to feel sorry for individuals because they think they're born in the wrong body, which is, it's false. The brain, when you're born, your brain's like a clean slate. Environment, upbringing, you know, the chemicals that you're exposed to might change that a little bit, but there's no such thing as a male brain and a female brain.
And we'll do another article on that, and we'll talk about it, get into some in-depth, you know, factual discussion on the fact that the brain is plasticized, and it can be, you know, influenced by our past. It can be influenced by fantasy. It can be influenced by, you know, lots of things. You know, it's like we can.
Yeah, it's very malleable, and you know, it's like we did a show about it way back. I mean, you have to go through our playlist, but we will be doing another show to show that, because that's a load of crap when people are saying I was born in the wrong body, my gender's between the ears and all that stuff. It's like no, that's almost like totally a slap in the face, in my opinion, to the actual gender, you know, and it's just like you've got to learn to love yourself for who you are. And it doesn't mean you can't express. It doesn't mean you can't have your personality. All males don't have to act the same, and all females, heck, we don't all have to act the same. you know, and it's all of the message that we're trying to get through here. But we're going to start today with, which really irks me, because this agenda is so vile that they just want to shut down any other opinion, any other voices. We can't have this. And it's being proven by what's actually, there's a university-based study on transgenders who regret sex change. And there are more and more individuals coming out of the woodwork.
I mean, if people have a different opinion, it should never be silenced. It should be heard. It should be given just as much of a platform to express. And if there are people who actually literally have regret about what they've done, and trust me, many do. Many will go to their graves never revealing that truth. But many do have regret and they want to change things. They should have a platform to be able to express those thoughts.
And there are a lot of people who have regret, who have gone so far that already it's like you've just blown your world upside down. Now you're going to just deal with what you have. You know, I mean, it's like we've gone to the point where 15 years of testosterone has created this. You destroyed a lot of things, and it's like, now what, you know?
Carolyn joins us, and she says, just got here.
Hey, Carolyn.
Are you guys talking about the article I sent you, Mark?
We've got several articles lined up. I don't remember which one.
Why won't they let those people talk about their surgery regret?
It's one of them. I've got actually a lot of articles. Today we're just covering the one about
the university.
It's Western journalism is the actual platform from this. I don't remember which one you send me, but there's other ones that we will be discussing on future shows as well. Thursday shows we're looking at some. But yeah.
She says, well, it looks like a sexy soccer mom, and you look like you're in Blink 182.
What's a Blink 182?
The band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you look like a rocker.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll be often. Thanks. Thanks. We're just going to throw things on here. Naked show would not be an option, but
no,
we're doing the show. Anyway, the article begins by saying a university is refusing to allow a counselor who specializes in transgender mental health to study transgender people who regret having sex change because the school says the study isn't politically correct. Now we're worried about politically correct, and we can't talk about truth because it's not politically correct.
Truth is relative.
It is very relative.
James Caspian, a UK psychotherapist seeking to write a master thesis on transgenders who transition back to their birth gender at the UK's Bath University, explained that he thought it was important to study people who had transitioned and then changed their mind after receiving sex reassignment surgery, because no research has been conducted on this group of people.
You know, and people that have sex reassignment surgery and then change your mind, that's really hard. You know, that's like, wow, you know, how do you, it's just like a very, and there's an article that I want to share about that next, either Thursday or next week sometime.
And that's an innocent enough request, you know, that people just want to have, you know, some study out there to explain that there are people who change their mind.
Yeah.
I mean, they tout, the trans activists tout that there's only like 1%.
No, there's a lot
I mean,
more.
that there are very few, and if they are, they just manage to get through.
And there's many reasons for it. You know, it's like they sold you this goods, and they promised you the stars and the moon. And when you actually live the life as a transgender person, you're like, damn, this is not at all what, you know? No. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
No, it's not what I signed up for.
You know?
I mean, but for people that even go further than I did, I mean, it's like, you know, once they get past a certain point, they feel like they're on that, you know, point of no return.
Right.
You know, like they had all this work done on themselves, and then they're like, what?
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah. That's all she wrote, Charlie.
So she says, it's the article where the study for detransitioners was shut down.
It might be this one, or if not, it's the other one that I have set up for Thursday. But yeah, there's a lot of these articles out now about universities not allowing it. A doctor who's actually trying to perform the reversal, wanting to create this panel and stuff, he's being shut down. You know, he's not being allowed again because of PC, which is, it's crazy.
Carolyn, we're trying to cut down on all fats, so there's no s'mores on the show.
What is it about s'mores? Camping Barbie, Linda, please break out the s'mores. Yeah. No s'mores. We've actually cut out our peanuts and our peanut butter. The only fat we're taking in is a tablespoon of flaxseed, because it's got omega-3, and some sprinkles of coconut flakes, just to give them a...
That's it.
That's it. That's
no
it.
more
Everything.
peanut.
No. No, because... So where were we? I was astonished at the decision Caspian told BBC News and said the university is violating intellectual freedom of inquiring by preventing him from conducting his study. That's bullying. That's like wrong, you know? It's these trans freaking Gestapos are just wanting to control it all because, God forbid, the truth comes out.
I think that a university exists to encourage discussion, research, challenging perhaps ideas that are out of date or not particularly useful, he said. Caspian noted that he had a hard time finding transgenders who were willing to participate in the study. Felt too traumatized to talk about it, which made me think we really need to do the research even more, he added.
The university originally accepted his proposal, but changed its mind after they decided it wasn't politically correct, after a bunch of trans people probably just called and said, you can't do this.
It reminds me of the interview we did with Isaac Priest after he was on that documentary, Trans, Growing Up Trans.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that he was excited to talk to us.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Jen Burleton or somebody got a hold of him.
Yeah.
Some trans activist got a hold of him and said, hey, need you to hold your ground, need you to like not, you know, reveal the truth about what's going on with you. I mean, and that interview kind of, you know, turned into like, oh, really? So you say this, but I say that. And it was like this tit for tat thing.
They're afraid of truth coming out, that there is no such thing as a dysphoria per se. There's a wanting to do something, wanting to make something happen. But there's, I mean, people live, show me the history of what child prior to this craziness. There's no history of children going through this stuff. There's people live. There's no history of adults wanting to commit suicide because they couldn't live the life that they wanted.
There just aren't any studies
on
record.
Zero. This is all made up stuff now.
Like this new understanding is like it's like something that's so new that nothing else.
It's called the internet, and it's called Reddit, and it's called, you know, YouTube, and people programming people and telling people what to say, and it's just it's taken off a life of its own.
Caspian even amended his proposal to include transgenders who are not reversing their surgeries, but simply choosing to live according to their birth gender. But the university still rejected his study, quote, engaging in a potentially politically incorrect piece of research carries a risk to the university, according to the London Times.
They're afraid to lose sponsors, are afraid to lose money. And politically correct, the politically correct thing to do would be to allow this, because this whole thing is brand new. 50 years under its belt, not even. You know, when oh my God, when the lawsuits start rolling in, when people's health, we start discovering what it's doing to people's health, all hell's going to break loose. Caspian said that the university added it would be better not to offend people because, you know, God forbid people are told the truth. People have been launching studies that undercut transgender people's access to surgery for decades now. Transgender activist Ricky Wilchin, big loudmouth, who agrees with the university rejection of the proposal, told Radio 4. That's another bully right there, which I interviewed. Caspian, who is also a member of the World, oh boy, Professional Association of Transgender Health, WPATH, who is like totally sponsored by Big Pharma and the medical, that this research is in no way meant to attack the transgender community, but instead an effort to both help them and to gain more knowledge about a group of people on which current information is lacking. So it's like they'll give you a one-way ticket, but you can't get back if you want to. You're on your own. Screw you, that kind of thing.
Caspian says the whole field has completely changed over the last few years. The idea that we might use the information from the research I was going to do in a way that wouldn't help people is completely wrong. Basketball University did not reply to the DCNF's request for comment in time for publication.
I mean, to me, that's like so wrong, so deadly wrong,
Anytime you shut down argument, it's just never a good thing.
Never, ever, ever a good thing. And it's like, messed up, totally messed up. I think there are some comments.
I didn't see them.
Yeah, here they are. Somebody wrote, since when is any research politically incorrect? He needs to go somewhere else. I'm sure he can find another university that will accept the money he is paying to let him get his research done.
Desiree says, I read that there are 63 genders now.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of gender. Well, I can't keep up with that one. A lot of gender. There's male and there's female. And in that male and female, we each have personalities. We each have likes and dislikes. But, last I checked, there's no real biological gender except male and female. And there's, it's just this propaganda, that's being pushed. Let's see what else there. There is no such thing as transgenders. Is not a noun. Here we have a transgender person, making fun. Yeah. It's not a noun. If you can't be bothered to learn that much, God forbid, but transgender people are always educating everybody. Why should I read anything you have to say? They're the most arrogant pieces of work that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm sorry, I get freaking very passionate about this because I've dealt with the trans community for so long. And it's like, si no la hacen la entrada, la hacen la caída, which means if they don't do it in the entrance, they do it when they shit on you or something of that nature. And it's like, it's always the same crap.
Always trying to, spell check everybody, make sure everybody's grammar is perfect.
Yeah, and they're always right and everybody else is wrong.
People who call trans people transgenders do not have our best interests at heart. This research was doing potentially valuable work, and canceling it plays into the hands of haters. The people I've known detransition to keep people in their life they would otherwise lose, and at a great cost to themselves. If social acceptance of trans people and gender nonconformity among CIA people, and said CIA people, this would be less of an issue.
See, they're always trying to find, okay, well, people are detransitioning because they want to keep people in their lives.
I think this is an honest statement. I mean, I don't think they said the researcher was doing potentially valuable work, and canceling it plays into the hands of others. I don't think
but they're saying that transgender do not have our best interest at heart. It says people who call trans people transgenders do not have our best interest at heart.
Right, but after that, I mean, I think they had a valid point.
Yeah, but I don't think that people just detransition to keep people in their life. I mean, I think
some might,
but I think there's a lot more to detransitioning than that. I think it's after you've lived X amount, because there are people that have transitioned for 30 years and then detransition after 30. It's because they find out, okay, I did this, and now what?
Yeah.
And there's just so many other different reasons and things, but, Now, I think the key this, society is probably religion at fault for making people feel that they're born wrong, because they see a young boy who's very feminine and right away they're like, oh, this is not right. We've got to fix this. We either got to make him into a girl or we got to put him on reparative therapy and make him act a certain way. I mean, that's usually how things are done. But This next article talks about, it's from CNN, how to teach children about gender equality. And I think if we, I better stop this because it's going to start to play. It's important to educate from a very young age and not create some sort of trauma. You know, when you're a little kid and they tell you little boys don't act that way, you can't have a teddy bear, little girls can't walk that way, oh no, that creates problems.
Yeah.
Big time problems. So CNN asked a group of New Jersey 5th and 6th graders about the difference between girls and boys, and first it gets a tad uncomfortable. Quote unquote, that would be kind of awkward, said Tyler Schiegel, who is in his last year of Lincoln Elementary School in Caldwell, New Jersey.
Once I clarified that I wasn't interested in the physical contrast, but wanted to know whether he and his classmates thought there were other differences between boys and girls, he relaxed quite a bit. Oh, that makes more sense, he said.
I asked a gender question such as, who is smarter? Who raises their hands more? Who is better at sports, girls or boys? Boys get in trouble more, but it depends who it is, Tyler said.
Girls I know like to wear makeup, a lot of them, and boys don't, said Tanyan Garudo, a 5th grader. In the classroom, there is definitely more gossip with the girls, said Casey Westcott, who just started middle school.
And a lot of this is stereotyping, which they're taught from a very young age, parents' fault. Boys are usually stronger or faster. That's what my brother likes to say out of Fiona Ladley, another 5th grader, and I would blast that away because I used to beat the crap out of my so-called stronger cousins, you know, but they even took karate to try to beat me up, and that didn't even work. As they answer, you could hear stereotypes already forming, even in elementary school, which was not a surprise to Katie Hurley, a child and an adolescent psychotherapist, writer and speaker and author. And I think this is what probably creates a lot of this gender confusion with kids, and then the parents and them is like, oh, we got to change your gender.
Well, and then the little child thinks to themselves, gosh, I'm not like that.
Yeah. So I must be, if they were a boy, I must be a girl then.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Children are internalizing the messages that they hear from their parents and teachers and what they see on television and in video games, movies and music and online.
Yeah. The best thing parents can do is really poke holes in all these things, said Hurley, whose books include The Happy Kid Handbook, How to Raise Joyful Children in a Stressful World. Instead of hiding all the magazines with the ads that make you shake your head and think that's not what women look like, open those magazines, point out those ads and say, can you believe this? Tell me what you think is wrong with this picture. What do women really look like? And these magazines are what creates these HSTS and these aging peers to want to mimic what they think women look like, because all women have to wear makeup and all women have big boobs, you know, and it's all women. And it's like, it's what we're being sold.
It's whatever is being promoted by marketing strategies and corporations that pretty much kind of feed the mind of young people. I mean, you just, and cartoons, I don't know if they even show them anymore, but you know, just Saturday morning cartoons, they used to, like, you know, show off the latest Barbie, latest, you know, this or that game, and you know, it wasn't like
exactly. And the girls were always playing with the Barbies, and the boys were always playing with the cars. God forbid, toys. I
mean, even Light Bright was for girls.
Yeah, and it's like
was for girls.
And it's just like creating a lot of problems in the minds of these kids. And I think it even starts from the moment that child is inside the mother's womb. Mother, you know, may have an idea what they want. They want a little girl so they could dress them up. And the mother's looking at magazines. And it's all this is being passed on to the child. And you have a boy in your belly. And God only knows if that even starts. I mean, the studies should be done. And it even starts from the time that you're in there.
Who knows?
You know?
I mean, it's obviously, you know, the child is in a recording mode.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if mommy wants a girl, you know, and mommy's like, how's my little princess this morning? You know, and
rubbing her belly,
or the opposite.
Yeah, and then the child is born, it's like, oh, it's a boy, and then the predisposed still wanting subconsciously to have a girl, and then all of a sudden you wonder why little Tommy is acting like, oh, hi, mommy, you know?
Stereotypes set at an early age. They're set in at an early age.
Very early age.
According to a recent report by Common Sense Media, how stereotypes in movies and on TV impacts kids' development. Gender stereotypes play a big role in teaching boys and girls what the culture expects of them.
Stereotypes about toys, skills, and activities that are typically associated with each gender. According to the analysis of more than 150 articles, interview, books, and other research, kids between the age of 7 and attribute certain qualities to women and men, such as the men are aggressive and women are emotional. And this is why we're seeing these kids act like, so I must be blank.
Sadly, the stereotypes that we see in media are very problematic. And as big business continues to market specifically for girls more ingrained, Janine Sanders, an author, publisher, and advocate for gender equality, education at home and in schools, said in an email, "See little choice other than pink and cute, and our boys see no other choice than
why can't I have fun colors too? Why do I have to have this boring, you know?" And girls feel the opposite, because what you don't have, you want. You know, if you have curly hair, you want straight hair. If you have straight hair, you want curly hair. And that's just the way we as humans operate. So we see, you know, I see my cousins, how come they get to have that stuff? I get to have this boring girl stuff. And then it builds on that. This
says, Saturn hate speech, shaking my head. And then she says, "I used to think I should have been born male because I like doing things, male-oriented things more. I had more male friends." Do you want to read that?
That one, I was just reading one. Carolyn right on top. I don't know if you missed that one. I'm so glad they didn't push this crap when I was a kid in the 70s. I know. I mean, everybody would have been transgender by now, you know?
Talking about something else that's not related to this article.
Okay, so where was I? This gender stereotyping continues to be reinforced every hour of every day online, on television, and in games, songs, and books. And because the adults in these children's lives see and perpetuate the same message, gender stereotyping continues to be reinforced in our homes and classrooms, Sanders said.
Therapist said she regularly tears out ads from magazines and uses them as a discussion point in her groups and their empowerment. To her laughing after she saw a woman in skinny jeans and stilettos mopping the floor.
This for girls. It's becoming somewhat commonplace with girls. Let's break apart the media. Let's poke the holes. Let's say princesses aren't real. And you know, there's a lot of trans women want to be princess, Hurley said, but we have to do it with boys too. Because you see these male advertisements for power purging things and these impossible muscled enormous men with no shirts on. And we have to see that for boys too. We have to give them the same opportunity to say, hey, this is not what every man in the world looks like. And that's why you get all the FTMs wanting to go to the gym and build big muscles, because we know that every man has big muscles, right? Wow.
Not really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are a lot of skinny dudes, a lot of dorky dudes, a lot of sensitive dudes, you know, and we've got to open up, you know, the horizon so we stop making people think they're born wrong.
Boys will be boys and girls will be girls. Parents can teach their kids about gender equality by never using gender as an excuse for behavior, experts say. Do boys roughhouse? Sure, but so do girls, Hurley said. I have a son and a daughter, and my daughter is way more of a roughhouser than my son.
And just as we associate rough play and being aggressive with boys, we are quick to give girls the mean girl label, she said. I hear this all the time from girls. well, my mom told me she's a mean girl, or she's one of the mean girls, and we have to stop saying that, says Hurley, whose newest book, due out in the winter, No More Mean Girls, The Secret to Raising Strong, Confident, and Compassionate Girls. It's all about the need to move away from the mean girl narrative to raise empathic, and compassionate young people. Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a Spanish term, marimacha. I guess it'd be like tomboy or, whatever. And it's like, because if you aren't a certain way, and my mom loved the stereotype.
Mary Macho.
Yeah. It's like, they screw with your mind because they make you feel like there's something that's wrong with you if you don't act like the little girl next door that's all with the little pigtails and pinky and pink clothing and all that stuff. And it's like, no.
One of the biggest things we do is we put kids in a box. Don't we do that with adults too?
Yep.
Girls in one box and boys in another box. And then the two boxes we create are negatively charged. She said, we're kind of like challenging them to live up to it. Then when we get to the college level and we hear about sexual assaults on campus, we ask ourselves, why is this happening? Hurley said. She argues that it's because children have been raised with a message that boys will be boys. They've been learning that since they were 5, she added.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the boys will be boys type of thing. Boys are told you can't cry, you can't play with girl toys, you can't wear girl dresses. So you grow up to be this man who's like feeling left out, feeling like, damn, I wish I could. And then the first time they wear an article of clothing, girl that puts some makeup on and I get this charge, then now you've got a problem. Because now you got this person and it's like their life is turned upside down. If you would have allowed that boy to put on lipstick, walk on their mommy's heel, and wear a dress.
Are we still on?
We should be. Yeah. It says live.
Okay. Somehow I lost chat.
Oh.
Video playback interrupted.
According to this, we're live.
Yeah.
It says we have 3 viewers.
Okay.
But reload the page and hopefully it should be there. It is.
Okay.
And okay, so
I don't know what happened. I guess I just lost.
Yeah, probably your thing is the thing I didn't lose it is then they would have. Okay, where I lost my place now.
Sorry about that, people. I just lost like the chat and everything. It had disconnected me. So if you guys wanted to say something, I lost.
We're back. We're back.
We're
Sanders says parents and teachers should make sure they are not reinforcing traditional gender roles. Girls can take out the garbage and boys can do dishes, she said. Both boys and girls know it's okay to express and discuss their feelings and emotions and to cry when they're sad. And that's so important. On my grandmother's funeral, my cousins were crying and my aunt scolded them and told them, why are you crying? You're men. Stop crying. And it's like I mentioned earlier, let the boys wear the dresses when they're younger and try on lipstick and let them explore, because exploration is good, because we all have a male and a female personality wanting to come out. And part of being on this planet is to learn how to balance those two. So you can become a loving, sensitive man instead of some macho who wants to grab a woman by the hair and punch her face when they feel this testosterone surge. And the same thing goes for women. Not all women want to be nurturing all the time. Sometimes they want to be nurtured, and that's how it goes.
Take advantage of teaching moments, such as when a child says, a girl can't play with boys because it's a boys' game, Sanders said. Never stereotype children's traits, such as boys are loud and noisy, girls are calm and sweet, and call out relatives and teachers who do so. Monitor your own interactions with boys and girls and comfort a boy as you would a girl if they are sad or unhappy or get a boo-boo.
Yeah. It's just, it's really important, because you're that are going to have psychological issues
Hang-ups.
if you don't hang-ups, and then they're all going to want to like change their sex, which is impossible, and it's just going to lead to a can of worms. Is it here? Take advantage or continue?
Point to roll.
Okay. Another way to really smash gender stereotypes, both Hurley and Sanders say, is to discuss traditional male and female employment roles and show kids the opposite, such as women who are firefighters or men who are nurses. I mean, that's okay, or men that like that. Women that like to work in construction. You know, we shouldn't like just put everybody in these boxes.
I saw lots of women working in construction when we were traveling on the road.
Oh yeah. Thankfully things are slowly changing, but we have to like really educate society more, and we have to educate our kids because they are the future. And what I'm seeing now is very scary because there are all these gender clinics going out there trying to change people's gender because they don't fit in the stereotypes.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Hurley said
parents can talk with their kids about everyday heroes, such as the teacher down the street, male or female, what he or she is doing to raise and educate children, or the firefighters, police officers, nurses, and doctors in their neighborhood. How can we use those people as role models? Because then we can start describing boys and girls differently, Hurley said.
And then we could stop creating self-hatred for the man that hates being a man because they think they're making a terrible man, or for the girl, woman, that hates being a woman because they think they're being a terrible woman, because none of the women they know look like them. People to feel free to be themselves, really themselves, not alter themselves and say, I'm the real me now. No, the real you, the person that you were born, the beautiful gender that you were given and that birth certificate, and just learn to like own it. You know, if I were to describe you to my daughter as I'm getting off the phone from the interview, I would say, wow, you wouldn't believe how intelligent and empowering this woman is. What she's doing to help educate people through CNN, she said. That's what you do. You have to shift your language, really. And think about it, because girls still hear that girls are pretty, and girls are polite, and girls are kind. And boys still hear that they're strong, and they're rambunctious, and they like aliens. So we have to be careful of that. But then we also have to break it down, you know.
So at what age can you start trying to teach your children about gender equality? Sanders says the education can begin as soon as they're born.
That's right.
Once you see gender stereotyping in society, you can't unsee it, she said. So from day one, parents should provide daughters and sons with toys where girls and boys are heroes, and books, and have adventures and select clothes for girls and boys that doesn't sync up with what society dictates.
Exactly. You know, I was going to say something here. There was this. It was one of the medical shows where the nurse said, you know, for once I want a guy to look into my eyes and not my breast, and to look at me for my intelligence, not for my body. You know,
yeah, that was on Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. And that really, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, I would have loved that. Instead of guys looking at me as some sex object, like just instead of looking into my eyes and enjoying my brain versus the body and being probed, you know, my life would have probably turned around to be a totally different life. You know, because I feared men, because I feared that all they wanted me for was sex. They didn't want to cuddle, they didn't want to talk about certain things, they just wanted sex. And that kind of like pushes you away, so you end up wanting, you know, okay, well, men are dangerous. So the only other human in the world are the female type. So I went to the female type, hoping that, hey, maybe I could find some solace there. And I think and I'm not saying that it's bad to be gay or whatever else, but I think a lot of people wouldn't have the hang-ups that they have today. We're treated differently. So at what age can you start trying to teach your children about gender? Did we already read that?
Yeah.
Hurley agreed and said that younger, the better, as far as beginning conversation about gender. Often when she leads her girl empowerment groups, some parents will say they don't want her to use certain words or cover certain subjects, fearing their daughters aren't ready for that discussion. I always listen to their concerns, and then I say, listen, the more information we give kids and the more we bring them down, the more empowered they are to make changes. And you see that a lot, even with your best friend and how they, and the daughter can't know about this stuff, and the daughter, it's like you're really not respecting your child's mind.
Experience when we traveled out to California and we spent time with them, who knew me as Paul for many years and had, you know, traveled with their parents and stuff like that, and me and my friend were good friends, and we'd hang out and stuff like that, and have put two and two together that had, you know, transitioned or anything like that, and that I was living as a transgender woman at some point in my life. They didn't make the connection that, you know, I mean, it's just, and they just bury everything. It doesn't exist and stuff, and live in this world. And I think a lot of times Christians do this. They raise their children in this cocoon, where life around them is a lot more multifaceted and multidimensional, but they insist on, especially if they're homeschooling, to wrap around their child.
And they don't realize that's the worst thing you could do, because it's like a bird in a cage. As soon as that bird has the capability of escaping that cage, they will. Trust me.
Absolutely. When you tell a group of 10-year-old boys that boys get dramatically more attention from teachers than girls, but then they say, oh yes, because I raise my hand and I don't get called on, or I accidentally forget to raise my hand, I get in trouble. He does it. So kids are feeling this from very young ages and on up. They're already feeling it, so we might as well talk about it. I always say to parents, just honest communication, parenting tool out there in the universe.
Yeah, it's important to be on to. They're spreading the stereotype, and you see it all the time. You know, girls are treated one way or another. Mothers treat their girls, as do fathers. I mean, it begins from parent, you know, and that has to change.
You never hear that around daddy's finger.
No.
I mean, it's like, or the father is wrapped around the son's finger. I mean, it's always daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
And mommy's mama's boy.
And then that creates,
it's never mama's girl.
You know, siblings rivalry, because then it's like, oh, why are they treating my sister this way and I'm not getting treated that way? I mean, that creates problems. Our kids do seem to get it, at least when it comes to the message they will give their own children, as evidenced by New Jersey elementary and middle school kids we interviewed for If I Were a Parent. When I asked them whether they would tell their sons and daughters that girls and boys are different, they anonymously say they would tell their kids that girls and boys are equal.
Differences like the election, that was a great thing. Casey Westcott said there was a boy versus a girl. And you don't look at their gender. You look at who they are as a person, what they think, like there is no superior gender.
But although in the election, there was still a lot of, you know, animosity. Almost like the world was not ready for female.
It's because the candidate who actually won ended up disparaging.
Yep.
Making light of her being a woman and saying that because of her emotional, that she wasn't going to be able to handle the office of the presidency.
Right. And they appealed he appealed to people's sentiments by that, you know. And I'm the man, and I'm this, and I'll, you know, and
I get deals done.
Those said she would tell her children they can do anything they want to. Boys and girls doesn't mean they can't do the same thing and they can't live the same thing, like the same things, which is, you know, very important. If you're a boy, you're entitled to like dresses. If you're a boy, you're entitled to like dolls. You know, if you're a girl, you're entitled to like trucks and, you know, wear pants.
Lance Jenkins, a 6th grader, said he would tell his sons and daughters to never doubt themselves. you can't do it too. Or a girl did this, do it, he said.
Sean Westcott, another sixth grader, said he would tell his kids that some girls are better at some things and some boys are better than girls at other things.
Grace Sostak, who also started middle school, said she would tell her kids that boys and girls are more alike than different. And so girls can be like a scientist or a brilliant writer, she said, agreeing that they can be anything they want to be. They can even play football.
Sanders added, children are not born thinking one gender is better and more powerful than another. They're born thinking there's no difference between us. And they're born with a neutral brain. It's society, their parents, people around them that actually program that brain. And that needs to be, needs to be stopped, because boys are not better than girls. Girls are not better than boys. Boys shouldn't feel left out because they can't do certain things that girls do, and girls because they can't do certain things that. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, that is why we have a transgender dilemma. We've been raised to think a certain
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
It's kind of weird there, but these are the things that Google Hangout does. And now
it's
Spirit Corner.
Spirit Corner, yeah.
Yes, because everybody needs spirituality, not religion. Religion is dogma, in my opinion. Spirituality is something that it's food for your spirit. You need food for your body, you need food for your spirit. Whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're a Hindu, whatever the name, whether you just Wicca or loving Mother Earth or whatever, you gotta have some spirituality in life to keep your spirit healthy.
I, been meaning on going into more different types of beliefs and stuff like that, because I believe that there's lots of truths that we can learn from,
of course,
Hinduism and
Buddhism,
and things like that. But right now I'm kind of focusing on the Christian angle, and I believe that there's a lot of truth in what the Bible teaches, what the Bible says. Now, how it's been misconstrued, misinterpreted, and misappropriated has been a different dilemma all of its own. But, I think that there's a lot of truth that we can learn from certain Bible scriptures and things like that don't really discount it, but kind of able to kind of shed a different light on it.
Right.
And one of the things that has always, been something that I've struggled with as a spiritual person, a Christian, was this harmful belief that they say is the number one most harmful belief among Christians. And that's this whole angry God theory. This whole thing that there's a big, bad, mean God with a club up there waiting to smack you and throw you in hell if you don't do what he tells you to do. And it's always this authoritarian, this patriarch man who is going to be destructive if you don't behave.
Strike you down, send you to hell, so they say.
When I was younger, I knew a lot about God. From the time I was a child, I knew God all too well. God was that all-seeing eye that watched my every move and slapped me into shape when I messed up. If I failed to avoid sin, God was the one who would cast me without hesitation into eternal burning hell when I died. And I believe that's the same exact narrative.
That's what they, as a Jehovah's Witness, that's how I was raised. I was like Armageddon, and they come, you're going to go and burn and all that crazy stuff. And not to say that there's no ramifications, because we're not saying there is not ramification, but how you learn. Hey, let tell you about it in case. It was sort of like vibration computer frequently in a home set or be right after my last backup. You know, it's like they go in and bad things and you go, Father, I have sinned. I have a confession to make. And the Father goes, okay, my son, tell me what it is. And blah, blah, blah. Give you to a Hail Mary. You're good to go. Okay, go sin again. Come back later.
No kidding. I had a similar experience as this person says, that when I was a little kid, Christian television was just coming online and stuff like that, and over the airwaves. And I remember watching a Christian TV show, and they said, if you want to give your heart to Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And if you do, you can write to us and we'll send you a Bible. And I must have gotten a stack of Bibles because I was still concerned about my salvation. I was worried because if I said a lie or if I said something wrong during the week, I would go back and watch that show again. And then I'd send them out. I had a stack of little children's Bibles. My fear and insecurity about God and my thinking, he was angry, was partly because the preachers told me so. Hell is hot.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there. You know how hot a stove is?
Mm.
You turn one on, you don't want to hell is hot. Even more than that, it was because as a child, I read the Bible constantly. I mean, I read the Bible a lot. I took my Bible to school and read it whenever I had a few minutes. In fact, I hurried through chapters so I could have time to read the Bible.
The image of angry, violent, vindictive Old Testament God. Well, since the Old Testament is longer than the New Testament, I did most of my reading in the Old Testament. I don't have to tell you that the Old Testament presents a very, very scary God. And man is even angry. You know, he's violent and he's vindictive. And in addition to drowning the entire human population, here are just a few other clues.
1 Samuel 15 states, this is what the Lord Almighty says, attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, donkeys.
Leviticus 20 requires death for a number of offenses, including anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. We all be dead by now because especially the youth today, boy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. That would leave half of the population gone. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist among you must be put to death. Well, that would destroy a lot of empathic people that are healers.
Like you?
Yep.
Exodus 20 says, I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for their sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me.
The New Testament God who sends us to hell. The preachers and Sunday school teachers also told me that God would send most people to hell. This included people who never heard of Jesus, people who refused to be saved, and even saved people who didn't measure up. I'm telling you, hell would be like packed. Would there be anybody in heaven?
No, there wouldn't be, barely. I mean, I remember hearing that same thing. I mean, even those that didn't believe in the same type of Christianity as I did, they would be going to hell too. I mean, if you were Catholic in my church,
you go to hell.
If you were Baptist in my church,
you go to hell.
That's it. Even Jesus was said to speak about the fires of hell. For example, in Mark 9, he warned people that it is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having two eyes to be cast into hellfire, where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched.
I understood this to describe the fires of hell where the flames never go out. I thought the worm was the soul of the damned that would never cease to exist in this eternal burning hell. Several times I considered getting rid of body parts in order to avoid this terrible fate God had in store for me.
Learning the truth about God. After high school, I went to a Christian college. So did I. They taught me the same thing. To me too. God is angry.
Several times I considered getting rid of body parts in order to avoid this. And is that why transgender people get rid of body parts?
I don't think so. God is angry, violent, and vindictive, and he will torment us all in hell if we don't accept Jesus and measure up. It wasn't until I finished college that I really began to understand things differently. By focusing on the Gospels and questioning the reasons for my beliefs, I realized that God is not angry, violent, or vindictive.
Being raised and educated and inerrantist, I don't know what that is.
Inerrantist, like the Bible's an inerrant word.
Okay, I thought everything the Old Testament said about God was 100% factual. But I came to realize that God did not write those things about himself. The writers of the Old Testament were people talking about God as they understood him, and the understanding of God was incomplete and often misinformed.
Then I discovered the Bible doesn't even teach eternal punishment in burning fire. Jesus uses two words often translated as hell. Hades is simply a word for death or the grave. Jesus also employs imagery from Gehenna, which is translated hell. This is the word he uses in Mark 9 above.
Mark incorporates the imagery of the worms and fires of Gehenna from Isaiah 66, which simply refers to death and destruction. What I used to think was a description of the eternal punishment in burning flames was nothing of the sort.
The Isaiah passage in us is a picture of the defeated rebels who are dead, unburied, heaped together, and set ablaze outside Jerusalem. The worm is not the soul of the deceased, but the maggots that thrive in such an environment of death. It's still really gross, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think Jesus used the familiar imagery from Isaiah to draw a graphic contrast between entering life with the Father and death and decay without the Father's gift of eternal life.
By placing unrelated passages together, we constructed a picture of in a burning hell, supported neither individually nor collectively by the passages themselves.
Jesus tells us about God. Believing God to be angry and vindictive created fear within me and distorted my understanding of God's loving character. But I find that Jesus gives the clearest understanding of God, that God is the loving, inclusive, and supportive Father, both in his descriptions of the Father and in his own actions as the Father's representative. Jesus shows the Father is not angry with us at all. Instead, he wishes to have a relationship with each of us.
And what a lot of religious people, to not just blame all Christians, but overly religious, dogmatic people don't understand that the more you shame people for what they're doing, the more you instill fear in them and tell them they're wicked, the more that prophecy is going to continue to reveal itself. Now, if you allow people to realize that, hey, God loves you, he may not like what you're doing, okay? He may not be happy because he has his plans of how he created us. But little by little, the more you have a relationship with God and the more you understand what your Father wants, the more you want to please him. It might take you a while. You have to work through a lot of issues. But by pushing people away and telling God doesn't love you because you're doing such and such and you're going to go to hell, that just makes matters worse. You know, people need to know that they're loved. People need to heal on their time. And I think that's very important.
Carolyn says, oh my God, they did the fire and brimstone on Lena, for sure. And she goes, do you think this is why you are so prim and proper now, Lena? I would say yeah, because I mean, we went dancing the other day, and I still hesitate, whatever, just being able to express and to be free and to just, be free,
right.
Just have that liberty in personality and in expression, and
it's like they cut the ability of a person to be able to feel and to express in whatever avenues of life, and instead of allowing people to be expressive, not to fear for expressing, not to fear for feeling, they cut out a very important part of a person. And, that's what religion does, because who wants to live with that constant fear and worry and not be able to express? It's like it just damages a person's ability to navigate life altogether.
They got Lynn out here like Laura Bush. Yeah, I mean, it was really suffocating growing up. And I know that parents don't mean to do these things, but, you
But they
know,
do.
when you suffocate the will of a child, they end up becoming repressed, and they end up becoming destructive to themselves and to those around them. So I don't want to put any blame on any one person, but at the same, I'm still a product of a lot of the things that I was taught.
Right. But, but one of the things a person can do is to not live in the past and to realize that that's not you anymore. And I'm saying this for everybody who's watching, and whether you're an LGBT member or whether you're just a normal human being. And I'm not trying to say that LGBT people are not normal, but that you're not part of the LGBT community. It's important for you to not live based on your upbringing and your past, and to live in the now, and to heal and to forgive and to break free from that chain that you've had all through your entire life. Because if you don't, it affects your life, it affects your relationship, it affects your health, it affects everything. And it's just like almost like relearning to be a child again, and teaching and giving yourself permission to be free, to love, to be happy, to dance, to sing, to have fun, not always worrying about things that are going to leave you in that miserable box,
I remember just this weekend we went to dance again, and we were like, I was thinking to myself, here's all this 80s music they were playing and stuff, and I'm thinking, I never got a chance to dance to any of that stuff. I mean, I remember you were like, oh, this is a song that I used to sing, I used to dance to a lot. We are family. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I never even got a chance.
That's pretty sad.
Wow, what did I lose?
Yeah, and it's sad because I mean, dance movement is wonderful, and it's very healing. And I was lucky that I was sneaking into clubs by the age of 16. And I flirt with the person in the front, they would let me in, no big deal. And dancing to me has always been very therapeutic, and I love it to death. And I love that every Saturday we go dancing. And
I love that too, because every time I go, it really does allow me to open up more and just be comfortable. As you see people smiling and laughing, it's like I was told that it was so wrong. I was told that to dance was like demonic, and I'm looking at people. There's this older couple. It's so cute. There's like this older couple, and they've probably been dancing for like 50 years. I mean, he probably had her at the dance off back in high school in the 60s and stuff. And it's like, so cute. And they're so innocently beautiful, older people. And then you see other people like, just enjoying themselves, having a great time.
I mean, and
I didn't get that.
Innocent fun, because definition of enjoying yourself doesn't mean that you have to get overly drunk, doesn't mean that you have to do weird sexual things. It's just clean, wholesome fun, where you're walking a line of, not too much of this side, not too much to that side, because, we do have to face ramifications when we go too extreme. But, having a few drinks and dancing, it's a wonderful thing, I think Carolyn said.
Carolyn says, I actually like how you dress. I like that you aren't like this hypersexualized person.
I like that too, because I don't believe that whether it's genetic born female or a gender expressive individual shouldn't have to like be a coochie mama, and be sexualized, because that's I don't like that. I never did that as a female. I dressed,
I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm 47 years old. Right. I mean, people like, I don't know, there's so many in the trans community, people that, trans women out there that want to like relive their,
they're 16
teenage years. We saw a person just the other day at the bar.
Yeah, who's trans.
Who's trans, and they're like, mouth agape, and they're
Yeah.
just like jiggling around,
And they're
it's
like 65, 68, you know, probably. And it's like, okay, yeah, no.
She goes, "Oh my God, Marcus and Lena listening to heathen music." I've listened to secular music or whatever they call it in the past, all my life. But we are family with dirty music rolling on the floor laughing. Please don't turn on the radio now.
I know, right? I'm 47 years old. That seems to stop.
No one.
That's crazy, especially nowadays. I mean, there is no, and I'm not some, what's the word?
What?
What's the word I'm looking for?
Say it in Spanish.
I don't even know if I even know in Spanish. I'm not some, when somebody's prune, I'm not a prune, right, for any word, sense of the word, but I believe in balance. I believe that too far one side or too far on the other is like a balance. And, I think dressing appropriately, whatever gender, and this overly partying and overly consumption of, overeating, anything that's excessive in my 53 years of age, I don't condone. I mean, but that's me,
Now, I mean, I remember just listening to Michael Jackson's Rock With You, and I was jumping on my bed, just having a great time, moving. My mom opens the door. Hi, O'Meal, what are you doing? That's demonic. I was like, what? I'm just having a good, no, don't ever dance again. That's
crazy. Well, I'm glad that the dance therapy that we're doing every Saturday is helping. She said, I will never forget the guy you guys exposed us on here with the red bikini. Oh, yes, Vanity. That was a character. Okay, next article is new gender non-specific birth certificates for the ACT. Why do they have to do that? Why are they trying to just eliminate what's worked for billions of years? Okay, the terms mother and father will effectively become interchangeable under new laws passed by the ACT Parliament on Tuesday, with parents able to choose either label.
So this is Australia?
I guess so. ACT, I'm trying to find out.
It is Australia. Yeah. In Australia, birth certificates will give parents the options of choosing mother and father, but will also allow parent 1 and parent 2, or mother and mother, or father and father, are acceptable on birth certificates regardless of sex of the person, but government records will be a little bit more specific, listing the woman who gives birth as a birth parent and a partner as other parent.
Okay, the changes were further step towards recognizing gender diversity in Canberra after legislation 2 years ago to allow people to alter their gender on their birth certificate to male, female, or X without the need for reassignment surgery. Also on Tuesday, the government created a new identity document for gender diverse people not born in Canberra, so unable to change their gender on their birth certificate. They will instead be able to apply for a document recognizing their name and the sex they live by, so long as they are a statutory declaration of a doctor or psychologist confirming their intersex status. Parents will be able to do the same for their children.
For ANU student and trans man Joel Wilson, 21, the change means he no longer needs to receive mail from his bank referring to him as Miss Joel Wilson, nor does he need to explain himself when he has to show his birth certificate, which still records him as female. When I present somewhere with a birth certificate that says female, it comes into conflict with what they're seeing. So for me, it just provides the opportunity not to have to explain myself every single time, he said.
Mr. Wilson, who was born in South Australia, said even his driver's license was linked to the data listing him as female. Now he would be able to live as a man for all official dealings, at least while in Canberra. It'll be wonderful just to not have those issues and not be worried about if I'm going to be discriminated against because of mismatching documentation.
The act is leading the nation in the area, and lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer advisory council chairperson Heidi Yates would make a significant difference to people's lives.
The liberals supported all the chains except one, balking at the interchangeable use of mother and father for either parent. Most people in our community would expect that a father is male and a mother is female. That's long established, said opposition leader Jeremy Hansen.
What's been brought into law today is that you can choose to be a mother regardless of whether you're male or female. It is a step too far that we just weren't able to support today.
And it shouldn't. I mean, okay, if a person wants to express their personality, I don't even think that needs to be put on a, it's like, hey, I'm blah, 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 and this is how I dress. Why do we have to change documentation and then all of a sudden have to I mean, that's crazy.
Carolyn says, do you think this trans situation will fall apart years from now and the laws will revert, or do you think this is permanent?
I hope it falls apart. I really do hope it falls apart, because I just find it to be, it's just turning the world upside down. It doesn't need to be that way. People just need to learn to accept differences, stop putting people in stereotypes, like we talked earlier with the kids, teaching kids that, a woman could be president and a man, could do womanly things.
I think personally, though, my own opinion is that this is going in the same direction as, to the greater extent that transhumanism is going. And we're talking about artificial intelligence, people becoming robots, and people becoming programmed with different things and stuff, and making human not human anymore. So if they can make female not female anymore, they can make male not male anymore, then they can bioengineer some new breed of human / cyborg, sort of like
Terminator.
Yeah,
so the machines are going to take over and destroy humanity. If we allow that to happen, we are in trouble. And transgenderism and transhumanism are in bed together. That's just the beginning. They're using transgender people as the beginning step to it. And people have to be very worried and very scared, because what I'm seeing is not good. Not good at all. So Justice Minister Shane Rattenberry said the changes don't take anything away from the people who would identify as a mother or father. For most people, when they go to fill in their forms after birth, it will be just like it's always been. What these laws do is allow for people in broader situation, more diverse situation, to also fill in the form in ways that's appropriate for them.
For them is what's appropriate for anyone else, but really the challenge that people are making it to be. For some,
it shouldn't be that way. I mean, people, gosh, there's male, there's female. And that's because one person feels a certain way and likes to express that we have to change the world for that special snowflake.
Fortunately, that's how the trans community feels.
Well, they need to stop being special snowflakes, and start realizing that they're 1% of the population. They can't change the way people think and feel. It's wrong,
For some, the changes were deeply important. Ensuing their documents correctly reflected how they saw themselves, and ensuring that we are seen for who we are, he said.
The government has also dropped gender-specific pronouns from birth, Death and Marriages Act, and the Percentage Act, embracing the plural use of their to replace his or her. A spokesperson for Mr. Rattenberry said the government did not believe the use of their would lead to an ambiguity.
Proof of age card has been replaced with a proof of identity card, which Mr. Rattenberry said was seen by many as a more appropriate identity document.
And the law spells out that the man who contributes semen in associated reproduction is not a parent unless he's also a domestic partner. And likewise, a woman who contributes an ovum not for her own pregnancy is not a parent unless she's also a domestic partner. What's going to happen here is the government do this, because they always do this, create a problem to then find a solution. And the solution is going to be that we're all going to be chipped, so that there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? No confusion or whatever, well, we need to then have this database and we need to know all these information, and there's going to be such strict control, like what they're doing now with the guns and people, the massacre that happened and all these little massacres that are happening here and there to take your guns away, and to keep you safe. So They're using people like people who identify as trans as guinea pigs for what they're trying to do.
Says, but the majority of people cannot afford to even be transgender. A man will always be the only one to impregnate a woman in the vast majority of the world.
Exactly, because two women can't have a baby unless they have a sperm, and two men can't have a baby unless they have a surrogate mother, or they adopt. And we can't, oh my God, the world is billions of years old. Humanity has been on this planet forever. Why are we trying to fix something that's not broken? I don't get it. It's just like way too much television, way too much sci-fi, way too much fantasy novels that people are reading, and that needs to stop because we are literally making the world turn upside down. And here's the topic or the the article that's a little controversial, but you all decide. We're just going to read it, and we'll put our thought process.
As you all know, Hugh Hefner died last week.
Right. Yeah,
and
all the Viagra he probably took.
He did a lot of things, and some feminists credit him with being instrumental in the passing of Roe v. Wade. But this guy was
not such a nice guy.
Not such a great person. I mean, he perceptions and worldwide culture of what sex is, the gender line, and how objectified men and women themselves, and it wasn't. Let me just say, it wasn't a good thing.
No, it wasn't. Okay, so Hugh Hefner and the homosexual revolution. Playboy founder Hugh Hefner died Wednesday. No man has done more to destroy family values by making sex an end in itself. While the Playboy philosophy was touted as the highest of masculinity, it was really an essence of homosexual.
This key article describes how baby boomers were brainwashed to eschew marriage in favor of promiscuity. This social engineering was designed to induct society into a satanic cult, Jewish Kabbalism, Freemasonry. I know it's going to be a little controversial. People just
bear with us. I mean, just, we found it pretty interesting.
Completely agree with everything. This was an article that kind of was interesting to just see.
And it kind of makes you think. I mean, we're not trying to down the LGBT community, or we're not trying. It's just stuff that makes you think. Because if we're going to be, the norm is man and woman. Not to say that, people can't be gay, not to say that a woman can't fall in love with another woman, or a man can't fall in love with another man, or whatever. But there is a norm. I agree that there is. So this is where they're getting at, and this is what the article actually
this first.
I do support gun control. Other countries have better laws than us. The thing is, guns don't kill. People do, because you could actually kill someone with a car, with a knife, with a bomb. Most people don't have these high powers like this guy has. It's usually CIA. That's why we think there's foul play here and a false flag, which we talked about on yesterday's show.
You mean liberal idiot feminists, with regards to when I was talking about feminists, they tout Hugh Hefner as instrumental in the passing of Roe v. Wade. Yeah, liberal.
Yeah.
A trans woman he had on his cover came out praising him.
Yeah, of course. He was an 80-year-old man who preferred 20-year-olds that look like pedophile to me. Yep. Pedophilia.
But guns are more fatal.
Oh, they are more fatal.
But real people die.
Yeah, but
we'll see what happens in this whole you know, this whole thing with the Las Vegas shooting.
I mean,
I think there's
just,
a lot more than meets the eye.
first, it was the 32nd floor. Then there's video showing on the 4th floor being shot. It was very far away I mean, our government, and the word government itself means mind control. And it's tactics that have been used for centuries. Actually, I found an article which will probably discuss next week sometime regarding the different ways that these false flags have been used in history. And, you know, it's really a sad day that control the actions of people, because, you know, they they put these individuals with MK Ultra to wipe out a bunch of people, or they make it seem like that's what it is so that they could take away your guns. And the reason they're doing this, I highly recommend you watch a movie called Equilibrium, which is what I believe is going to happen in the future, 1984. You know, and that's what these crazy people that are leading the world, the elites, you know, the cabal, the you name it, are doing to humanity. I mean, just look around you, what's taking place.
Gun violence is only a problem now that white people are dying. I had a mentally ill loved one who did something like this and lost family behind it. And she says, I do believe that it is true. I also think basic gun control could help.
Well, it definitely, I mean, but you know what would happen if they got rid of guns? The criminals will still get the guns. It's the average individual that would not be allowed.
And the government
has control. So if the government needs to fear the people. That's how we've kept the government straight. So when the government has total control, that's Marxism. That's a new world order that's taking place. Anyway, he is a fastidious.
What sort of man?
Oh, what sort of man reads Playboy? He is fastidious about his appearance, his home, and his possessions. He wants as much sex as possible and chooses sexual partner mostly on the basis of appearance. He is self-absorbed and doesn't want emotional involvement or commitment. He thinks a woman would stifle him and children will be a burden. And we see a lot of that. A lot of that. Even the man that now decides that they don't want to live as a man and they want to present as a woman.
Does this sound like homosexual behavior? It is also the masculine ideal purveyed by Playboy magazine to men since the 1950s. At the end of time, when they open the envelope labeled, "What is the essence of manhood?" I suspect it will say, looking after women and children, by creating and supporting new life. The family is the red blood cell of society. But in 1972, peaked at 7 million. 75% of college men got their ideas about masculinity from Playboy at an incalculable price to themselves, women, children, and society.
Similarity between the Playboy and homosexual idea is no coincidence. The Kinsey Report, 1948, shaped current mainstream attitudes to sex, championed unfettered sexual expression. Okay, we got dogs barking outside the door. Unfettered sexual expression and become the manifesto of the counterculture and sexual revolution. Kinsey said that deviant and unhealthy sexual behavior was so common as to be normal.
Thanks to psychologist Dr. Judith Reisman, we now know that the Kinsey Report was a fraud. Alfred Kinsey, a Rockefeller-funded University of Indiana zoologist, pretended to be a conservative family man. In fact, he was a child molester and a homosexual pervert who seduced his male students and associates to participate in pornographic home movies.
Kinsey's agenda, in Reisman's word, was to supplant what he saw as a narrow, procreational Judeo-Christian era with a promiscuous, anything-goes, bi, gay, pedophile paradise. More than 25% of his sample were prostitutes and prison inmates, including many sex offenders. Kinsey, who died prematurely of orchitis, a lethal infection of his testicles that followed years of orgiastic self-abuse, said that 10% of American men were gay, when in fact only 2% were.
Kinsey and his team of pedophiles abused 2,000 infants and children to prove that they have sexual desires. I mean, he actually made children orgasm, babies orgasm. It's really sick and disgusting. Reisman concludes, America's growing libidinous pathologies and reflected in our fine and popular arts, the press, the law, and public policy largely mirror the documented sexual psychopathologies of the Kinsey team itself.
Depth to Kinsey. Inspired Hugh Hefner to start Playboy in 1953. Hefner said that Kinsey report produced a tremendous sexual awakening, largely because of media attention. I really view Kinsey as the beginning. Certainly the book was very important to me. With messianic fervor, Playboy took its message and sexual freedom to the American male who in 1950 and 1960 still consecrated sex for marriage.
But the freedom was illusory. Playboy's aim, the aim of all pornographers, was to hook men on the glossy fantasy. To do this, they had to prevent them from finding true satisfaction in marriage. Playboy was the first national magazine to exploit college men's fears of women and family commitment. Playboy offered itself as a reliable, comforting substitute for monogamous heterosexual love.
The sworn enemies, Playboy and feminists, found common ground in their hatred of healthy heterosexual expressed in the nuclear family. As a result of the homosexual revolution, society now suffers from an epidemic of family breakdown, pornography, impotence, child sexual abuse, sadomasochistic violence, teen pregnancies, a cocktail of STDs, and of course, AIDS. The birth rate had plummeted by 60% since the 1960s and is now below replacement level.
Continues, homosexuality is not healthy. Homosexuality is a developmental disorder caused when a male child fails to bond with his father. Psychologist Richard Cohen, in Coming Out Straight, Understanding and Healing Homosexuality 2000, argues persuasively that by having sex with men, the adult gay is trying to compensate for father love denied in adolescence. Cohen was a homosexual himself and is now married with 3 children.
He attributes lesbianism to a woman's reaction for being rebuffed or abused by her father. He has cured hundreds of constant attacks for undermining the gay political agenda, redefining social norms. Psychiatrist Jeffrey Satinover has pointed to another cause of homosexuality. A 1990 survey of 1,000 gays shows that an older or more powerful partner physically assaulted 37% of them before the age of 19. Homosexuality in the American Public Life, 1999, page 24. In addition, according to Ann Moore and Why Men Don't Iron, some men may be born gay due to fetal hormone imbalances. They seem to be a minority.
In 1973, the Rockefellers bullied the American Psychological Association into proclaiming homosexuality normal. Together with feminists who believe heterosexuality is inherently oppressive, dismantle all heterosexual institutions: masculinity, femininity, marriage, the family, the Boy Scouts, sports, the military, and the education system.
Using their control of the media, the Rockefellers, Illuminati bankers, largely dictate our cultural sensitivity. They're responsible for the obsession with pornography and the occult, and that pervades television, music videos, and the internet. This state of arrested human development is characteristic of homosexuals who cannot form long-term relationship with the opposite sex, with straight women acting like men and vice versa. With TV and school promoting, we are being turned into homosexuals. Now, I want to say that I don't believe that two men loving each other, having a monogamous relationship, leading their life in wholesomeness is wrong. A bit alarming what is seen in a lot of lifestyle. You know, the monogamy was going to bed with a bunch of different people, spreading diseases, the drugged lifestyle. You know, these are things, and it happens also in the heterosexual community. You know, I think that, again, walking a balanced life, knowing that when you put your head in the pillow, you have no worries because you've done nothing immoral. You know, I don't believe that, you know, that two men loving each other is wrong, or two women loving each other is wrong. You know, now it's when they want to bring a third person in the bedroom, and they want to swap partners, and they have orgies, and they do all these things. And pornography ruins the mind of people. It does, because then now you're no longer satisfied with the norm. You need more. You need more stimulation, and nothing really satisfies you. You know?
Shock tactics. Gay activists talk about normalizing their gross out sexuality and desensitizing straights by flaunting it. I was livid when I took my 10-year-old son to see Adam Sandler's movie Billy Madison. This is an article written in 2001, actually.
Okay, yeah.
And heard one teenage male in the film casually ask another, "Would you rather bone Pamela Anderson or a young Jack Nicholson?" Just as communists once conned do-gooders to think radicalism was chic, gays define trendy for gullible liberals today.
Gay and feminist activists think traditional morality was invented to perpetuate on a just status quo. In fact, morality is the accumulative wisdom of mankind regarding what is healthy and fulfilling. Perversion is the deviation from what is healthy. Heterosexual morality places sex in the context of love and marriage because it's humanizes the sexual appetite. It ensures that most profound and intimate physical act between two people expresses a commensurate emotional, spiritual bond. This is the only way sex can be truly satisfying for both men and women. It also healthy for society because it provides for the natural and necessary outcome of sexual love, children.
With Hugh Hefner's help, Alfred Kinsey detached sex from love and procreation. He reduced it to titillation like an amusement park ride, or relief like urination. Homosexuals seem to champion anonymous bathroom sex. Some fornicate through a hole in a cubicle wall.
Yeah.
Most have tens to hundreds of partners each year.
It is true.
In less extreme form, this is the model heterosexuals have adopted. Recently, a social columnist enviously described straight couples she knows who have just broken up. They're out partying, having the time and the sex, it seems, of their lives.
You know, and I used to have a porn addiction, and it really disassociates you from wanting to have intimate sex, because it's easier. It's less work when you're just like watching porn, masturbating, or you're watching porn with your loved one and you're masturbating each other. It forces you not to have intimate eye contact, have some sort of spiritual connection. It makes people detached. You know, I know that you've never been into the porn thingy, you know, and actually being with you is what is totally, you know, it's like I don't have any desire to watch any porn anymore. And before I did, I mean, you know, for the longest time. And it took me a while to be able to disassociate from that and to like, okay, intimate relationship is one-on-one. You don't have to watch something to make you get excited, you know?
Carolyn says that pornography rewires the brain.
It does. And it takes a while to be able to unwire it, you know?
And it reduces women to objects.
Exactly, it does. And
she asks, why is there so much more promiscuity in the gay male community?
Because that's, I think, a very, you know, males are
visualizers.
Yeah, they're just like, intimacy scares them, you know. They kind of maybe look at women as objects. I mean, I know that's how I felt, like an object whenever I wanted to try to do them.
Did that like become more prominent when you took testosterone? That objectifying thing?
Oh, both ways. When I was presenting as female, I was objectified.
No, but I'm talking about, did testosterone make you see others as objects more so?
Well, it made me watch more porn, because testosterone, when I was taking testosterone, I was always horny, and it was easier to just watch porn and masturbate than to have, you know, find an intimate relationship with someone to have sex with, you know. So, yeah, I mean, testosterone, I think testosterone does that, you know. That's why most guys are really like, just want to get off. It's like something instant, something, you know, gratifying, you know. Not to say that all men are that way, you know. I think, again, That's part of the stereotype. I think there are men that want the romance, that do want, the foreplay before the actual act, and don't want to watch the porn and things of that nature. But I do believe that the programming has been set by this kind of, it's almost like rewiring people,
Less human.
Yeah, less human, because it's like, I remember when I was married to Violet, we'd watch porn and like, I masturbated as we watching this thing, and I'm not proud of that, but that's how, how things happened. And it's almost like it just allows you not to have that connection, not to look into somebody's eyes, not to like literally make love and look into each other's eyes and feel as wonderful. It makes it so objectified and horrible.
Carolyn said, we never hear about lesbians meeting in parks for sex.
No, I never met anyone. I lived in lesbian lifestyle, never met with anybody in a park to have sex. We went out on dates, went over each other's house, we met in groups with other women, had fun together, and then if we clicked, we went to each other's apartment or whatever. It wasn't bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, that kind of thing.
A lot of gay men do want the love, but group sex isn't unusual.
Yeah, they want the love because they love,
What is the word love defined as, though? That's the question.
Well, they want to feel doted over. They want to feel being doted over. They want to feel the love, but they really don't know how to give the love.
She says, my man is wonderful when it comes to foreplay, a very generous lover.
You're very lucky, Gene. That's always, something that, that's admirable.
And Carolyn said, like auto sex.
What's auto sex?
I don't know.
What's auto sex, Carolyn?
She said, like auto sex.
Auto sex. Having sex in an auto? In conclusion, the sexual revolution was really a triumph of perverse homosexual norms and values. The gay feminist agenda is to redefine healthy as pathological and vice versa, and they have succeeded.
In short years, almost all sexual constraints have dissolved, and heterosexual society is reeling. The cultural and social breakdown will only get worse. Revolution.
So it says here, first comment by Jude. The corporate sexual revolutionary worked in certain knowledge that there's nothing human beings are more insecure about than sex. As C.S. Lewis wrote, many men engage in extramarital shenanigans, not out of overwhelming desire, but in order to reassure themselves of their fertility, or whatever. In my experience,
modernity.
Yeah, that. In my experience, the most avid bed hoppers among men are rarely the ones most appreciative of women, even on the physical level. Instead, they tend to have pronounced narcissist personality traits. What happens to me in is pronounce exactly as it's read. So there are certain words that I haven't, because with English you have to almost memorize the word, what it sounds like. And some of the words, yeah, I know.
I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all. Correct me. Obviously, it's cool. I don't want to sound like the derf ball that I sound when I'm like, derf. But my Cuban mind,
I love your Cuban mind. This ties in with something else C.S. Lewis said. The lascivious man thinks of women's bodies. The lascivious woman thinks of her own. The Playboy style stud has a feminine personality when it comes to sex. He's thinking primarily of his own starring role as Don Juan, the most promiscuous in the heterosexual sense guy I ever knew, outed himself to his friends as bisexual. On a drunken night out, Hefner admitted to engaging in homosexual schemes.
Sounds really interesting. The Playboy style stud has a feminine personality when it comes to sex. He's thinking primarily of his own starring role as Don Juan.
And so they said, one person writes, for accurately and acutely covering Hefner and his perverted contribution to our society. Because of him, I spent much of my adult life feeling embarrassed and wanting his invasive and exploitive free-for-all to finally end and go away forever. But it didn't. I just got more and more disgusting. It just got more and more disgusting and more mainstream in our face. No way to shield the children from its all-pervasive ooze. There are many ways to bring us back to decency, but it will be a long, hard road, but so necessary and worth it. Consider how many families have been crushed and how many hearts have been torn to pieces because someone believed Hefner's gospel of free sex, decent, quote-unquote, pornography, and erotic liberation. When he was born, his Methodist mother wanted him to grow up and be a missionary, Hefner, and in a way, she got her wish. He did not invent pornography, but he was the first to institutionalize, making it, quote-unquote, respectable and mainstream. He was the harbinger of the new sexual ethic, fueling a revolution that has changed the globe in a way far worse than any war or disease ever could. He was a missionary who taught his message to the ugly end. He died as a pathetic, wrinkly playboy, perhaps still in those silk pajamas.
Yep.
We do not rejoice in his death, but we must recognize he died not as a successful philanderer, but a loser and a con man. He duped many into buying into his gospel of death, and now stands before his creator, explaining why he exploited so many in his image.
Yeah, I mean, I find pornography to be so offensive now after I've I guess healed myself of that kind of, perversion. People are lowering themselves. Their standards are being lowered. They're going to bed with complete strangers for money. They're ruining people's mind and ruining people's sex life.
So she says autosexual
is very clearly, it refers to someone who has a great deal of trouble responding to someone else's sexually, but can respond fairly or very well to his own or her own touch. Yeah, because it kind of sets you off the not needing to have to show your emotions, not
self-sufficient.
Yeah, you become very self-sufficient, and a lot of people prefer masturbation over having intercourse with another person. And that's what pornography does. That's what porn, the end result of dopamine desensitization, is that the brain no longer recognizes the pleasure signal. Yeah, that's what tends to happen. And I think with all this gender confusion and all this stuff that's taking place, the same thing is happening. The person who's dressing in the opposite gender they were born is getting satisfaction with what they're seeing in the mirror, and that almost doesn't allow them to have relationship with other people. And that's why you see many trans people that are single, especially trans women, because I find trans men end up having relationship with bisexual women, but transgender women end up having relationships with themselves, because the mirror is just, their image is just so consuming, and it's all about them, and they can't really someone.
And there's just one more comment that someone made, and I think it reflects something that I personally believe. I have no problem with one who chooses to be gay. That is their choice. Many of these feminists and homosexuals have not read what the Jewish Bible and the Christian Bible say about homosexuality. In Leviticus and Deuteronomy, what is normal behavior? The God of Israel does not want to suppress women. He wants to empower them. When one engages in sinful behavior, God will punish those people. God knew back then and even now how the nuclear family is the best cure for keeping society healthy. If everyone takes time to read God's word instead of being brainwashed by those in charge, so the Western world would be in better shape. And like you were saying earlier, two loving, committed men, two loving, committed women, two loving, committed men, there's nothing wrong. It's love. Love is love. And if you can be faithful and true and take care of the one you love, and to spend the rest of your lives enjoying and being there for one another, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
and if you're
honoring each other's body, not doing all this BDSM and all these rude acts and things that it's not healthy.
Inflicting damage on each other.
I mean, that's, what, and there are people that are all pro that, and they don't see the perversion of it. And it's like, pretty sad stuff. But okay, our last article for the night is about cancer. And I found this article on Don Bennett, which I met personally. And when I was a raw vegan, I met him in one of the, he did a seminar, and then we met with him in one of the fruitarian potluck kind of thing that I went to. Very nice man, very knowledgeable. So I decided to grab this article for the health section of tonight's show. The #1 cause of cancer. It reads, if I ask you to name a cause of cancer, like the list that I would compile would be long. I'd hear processed meats, cigarettes, pesticides, and acid-forming diets, environmental toxins, chemicals in our water, alcohol, being sedentary, radiation from cell phones and mammograms, too many sunburns, and hopefully not enough nutrition. But I contend that the #1 cause of all cancer, the main reason there is so much cancer, is misinformation.
In this category are such gems as, we don't know what causes cancer, but we're fundraising like crazy to find the cure.
The body can't heal from cancer.
The best protection is early detection.
We're winning the war of cancer.
Your best chance for survival is surgery, chemo, and radiation.
Cell phones don't cause cancer.
Bras don't contribute to cancer.
All you need to do to prevent cancer or to heal from it is to eat fruit and vegetable diet.
Let's explore these popular but untrue notions. We don't know what causes cancer. Yes, we do. They are known. They're just not common knowledge. And they are not common knowledge for a very good reason. If more people knew how to prevent cancer, this would be devastating to those for-profit industries that make trillions of dollars from people getting cancer. So they have a vested interest in the causes and natural cures not becoming common knowledge.
So the body can't heal from cancer. Oh, yes, it can. It always is trying to do so. In fact, it always trying to prevent cancerous cells from becoming cancer, as we know it today. Most people are simply doing too much of what creates cancerous cells and not enough of the things that support the body's ability to manage cancerous cells.
Protection is early detection. No, the best protection against breast cancer in this case is not doing things that contribute to breast cancer in the first place, and doing those things that support the body's anti-cancer processes. Again, it is known what they are, but it is not common knowledge.
We're winning the war on cancer. Well, the official war on cancer was declared in 1972 by the President Richard Nixon. How we're doing with this war is determined by the 5-year survival rate. When a person is diagnosed with cancer, the timer starts, and the number of people who are still alive after 5 years is a barometer for how we're doing with the war on cancer. But thanks to improvement in detection technology and this earlier detection, today's timers are being started earlier than they were back in 1972.
People are still alive after 5 years than back then, and therefore it's thought that thanks to the medical and pharma industries, we're winning the war on cancer. But when you adjust that 5-year survival rate detection factor, the 5-year survival rate is unchanged. So catching cancer a little earlier is not allowing for more permanent remission. It's simply skewing the 5-year cancer survival rate and making it appear as though we're winning the war when we're clearly not.
And since actually winning the war on cancer would severely injure the medical and pharma industry, you can be sure that big business is not actually trying to win this war. Even though the public perception is that there is a huge effort to do so, watch the documentary What the Health for details and to see why all the pink ribbons and pink washings are at best disingenuous, and at worst a sham. Yes, I said it, and that's because I hate seeing people being taken advantage of for the sake of money at the expense of their health.
And we do highly recommend that you guys watch What the Health. I think it's available on Amazon, Netflix,
maybe even YouTube.
Yeah, and basically so many of these organizations like the American Cancer Society, Diabetes Foundation, all these different organizations, they are not helping in lowering cancer by having like websites that encourage people to eat all kinds of fatty foods and carcinogens and destructive, meats and things,
If you get cured, they make money on treatments.
Your best chance for survival is surgery, chemo, and radiation. Really, when you compare the results of the conventional treatments to the so-called alternative treatments, you see quite a different story because these non-medical treatments are non-toxic. They don't tank the immune system, and they have a far better outcome than conventional therapies. 95% effective for soft tissue cancers versus 5% effective with conventional treatments. This info will not only be made known, not be made known by the establishment media. Efforts will be made to quash this info. And those practitioners who make it available, affecting both livelihoods and even the lives of those who really do care about how to get rid of it. The truth is out there. You just have to find it. To the for-profit cancer industry for the truth about cancer.
Yeah, you can't turn to the food industry or whatever for the right kind of foods to eat or anything like that because they want you to eat junk food. Cell phones don't cause cancer. Well, yes, and the earth is flat and only 6,000 years old. Let's deal with this issue using science. See the articles listed at the end of the article for some facts. And again, if you click on the description, I usually end up putting the articles that we talk about so you go in and do the information. And bras don't contribute to cancer. And we never landed on the moon. See the articles, I don't think we did, but see the articles at the end of this article on why bras do contribute to breast cancer. I know you don't want to hear this if you're a woman, but do you want to avoid breast cancer? Do not wear bras, or do you want to roll the dice? I've always heard that, that it's like between some of the bras have that metal thing, and then just by the fact that you're constantly constraining the breast, it causes all sorts of, nodules and things to take place in your breast.
All you need to do to prevent cancer or to heal from it is to eat a diet. I've saved my biggest pet peeve till last. The pieces of inaccurate information above are understandable, being that there is so much profit at stake. With tons of money on the line, you can be sure that there will be tons of and boatloads of miseducated doctors, but you'd think that those practitioners and educators who sincerely want to help people avoid cancer or heal it from it would do the due diligence required to uncover the truth about cancer. And naturally, they'd be open to hearing new things about how to prevent it and heal from it. And they wouldn't allow their own preferences or biases to color their otherwise good judgment. And they'd actually want to peer-to-peer with those like-minded educators and practitioners for the good, for those they counsel and educate. But sadly, this is not the norm, and you shouldn't assume that it is.
So say what you will about the conventional medical model, but at least there is some standardization of the info that's given to the public and standard of care protocol that MDs follow. What would the public think of doctors if all docs did their own thing, some surgeons washing their hands, because they don't think they need to? You'd have to do a lot of researching before picking a doctor or surgeon to see. Well, as it turns out, if you want the best odds of never getting cancer or the best odds of getting rid of it, you must also do a lot of vetting of both info and educator. Why? Because, for example, some educators who promote the healthiest of diets maintain that regarding diet, all you need to do is to switch to a raw vegan diet and eat fruits and greens, and you'll have the best odds of never getting a diagnosis of cancer. And you'll have the best chance of getting rid of it if you already have it. That may sound good on paper because of what's known about the differences in diets as to their general health outcomes, but there is more to know than just eat fruits and veggies.
As it turns out, the foods of the diet you eat are really nothing more than transportation vehicles for the elements the body requires for optimal health. Phytonutrients, trace elements, carbs, fats, proteins, water, fiber, hormones, plant-based, and enzymes. So the obvious question then becomes, do the foods that you're eating contain enough of it all? a very long time ago, when we gather our foods from nature, the answer was obviously yes.
But today, for most people, our foods are being grown for us by a for-profit industry and not for us by nature. So anyone who thinks that the nutritional quality of today's fruit and greens are the same as they were many millenniums ago is getting their information from the wrong source. To consideration today's demands, side of supply and demand issue, our bodies are not being supported in their efforts to keep us cancer-free for a lifetime. So even though a raw vegan diet is a diet we're biologically and anatomically adapted to, and therefore is the best diet to eat, if you want the best odds of never getting diagnosis of something serious or getting rid of something malady that you already have, if a raw vegan educator tells you, once you start eating enough fruits and vegetables, you don't have to worry about nutrition, or you don't need any nutritional supplements to have the best odds in preventing cancer or healing from it, this should be seen as a red flag because of what the science reveals.
Telling you this may be truly be a sincere person who honestly cares about the people they teach, but the information can still be inaccurate. And when there are those educators who appear honest and sincere, but in reality aren't because they want to sell an easy-peasy program and want your money going to them and not to worthwhile nutritional complements to your diet. Sad, but a reality.
So if you want the best odds of not getting cancer or getting rid of it, you need to be able to recognize the misinformation concerning cancer. This requires education, and not just from one person. Multi-source education is best so you can come across conflicting information such as the nutritional issue mentioned above.
Knowledge is power, but only when it is enough and is understood. So learn as a researcher and not as a student if you truly want the best odds of avoiding a degenerative disease such as cancer. A student is taught things. A researcher learns about disease, looking at more than just the conventional information, employing the ethos of science.
And basically what he's trying to say is that people think, well, yeah, if I just eat a bunch of fruits and veggies, I'm going to be okay. You've got to be able to know how much of that fruit and veggies you need, how much of certain vitamins and minerals that you contract from the foods that you're eating. Is it organic? Is it GMO free? Are you eating enough? Are you supplementing? We supplement with our own urine because it has all the vitamins and minerals that you need, especially for you.
And we take iodine.
Yeah, we do iodine.
And occasionally oil of oregano.
Yeah, oil of oregano, which we used a lot. We were on the journey since we were around a lot of people, and it kept us from getting any sickness. But, and also, my gosh, something he didn't mention here, which I think is, emotional health. Emotional health is something that is the most important thing to keep yourself from getting sick, because stress creates sickness. Stress creates cancer. How you deal with issues, how you hold on to issues, that is something that a lot of people don't know how to do. I mean, you watch the TV and everything is bad news. You got to learn how to detach from the negativity. You could see it, feel it, own it, and let it go. Because if you hold on to things, that will kill you. It doesn't matter how healthy your life you're leading. If you hold on to crap, it's going to kill you. So you have to learn, maybe meditate, learn how not to hang on to things and realize, hey, this happened 20 hours ago. I don't need to continue to be holding on to it. And that's what's going to help you create the balance. The food you're eating, exercise, breathing, dancing, laughing, making love, things that you all need, not just one-sided solution.
And, the concept that cancer is nothing spectacular, not some special snowflake. With regards to, when people are given the diagnosis at the doctor's office, you have cancer, or you have leukemia, or you have MS, or
diabetes,
or whatever. I mean, there's healthy cells and there's unhealthy cells. And basically whatever they want to call that you have or that you're suffering from or you're dealing with, it's really just an imbalance of your body's healthy and unhealthy cells. Yeah. And when you get rid of unhealthy cells, you become healthy. So I don't think that people should look at the name of disease, because disease it's like a
condition of unhealthy cells,
right?
Basically, and it doesn't matter what part of your organs that unhealthy cell is being demonstrated. It's just if you communicate with yourselves and you keep them healthy by leading a balanced life, by making sure you're getting the proper, like what I mentioned a while ago, but most of all, your emotional health.
But it's like people tend to think that cancer is like some kind of bug or something, or that lymphoma is like some kind of a bug. And it's like, it's just rogue cells doing things to your body that they weren't designed to do. They're not reading the right blueprint. So when we get our body to do that.
And the same thing goes for the mind, like depression and feeling like you're born in the wrong body and all that. So it's just something that's gone wrong up there that you just need to bring to balance. You need to heal from maybe childhood traumas, from things that you were taught to believe, like the article we read about stereotyping with boys and girls. It's something that I believe that should be one of the first therapy that gender specialists need to do with people, or sexologists. It's really, break free from the stereotype. Oh, you think you're a girl because you like to play with dolls and you're more sensitive than your brother?
Yeah.
No, you're not a girl. You're just a different kind of boy. And, we could work on teaching you how to be proud of the kind of boy that you are. I mean, that's basically, or vice versa. You're a girl and you think that, hey, you got the short end of the stick because your brother gets to play really cool trucks and you were given this Lincoln doll and you don't like, then, you play with the cars and you say, hey, I'm a girl that likes to play with cool trucks.
So anyway, cancer is something that really is like a myth. I mean, they could just say healthy or unhealthy cells, and take the stigma away from disease. Because disease is just dis-ease.
Yeah, and everybody has cancer cells. You go on any given time to a doctor and they catch you in the wrong time and they take a piece of something. Oh, it's cancer. The body resolves it. As long as the body's immune system is strong enough and it's got a good balance of cancer-fighting cells versus the cancer cells, then you're good. Just keep your immune system up and you'll be good to go.
And radiation and chemo, they go right against the whole concept of healthy and unhealthy cells. I mean, they create a disastrous situation either way, whether it's chemo, whether it's radiation. They radiate, the good parts and the bad parts, and that's what it's known to do. It's like dropping a bomb and expecting people to survive.
Yeah, literally. Because they're also killing your good cells. And most of the complication, most people die from radiation. Cancer doesn't kill them. It's the treatment that kills them.
I mean, don't they tell us to stay away from radiation? I mean, they tell us to stay away from microwaves.
Yeah.
Tell us to stay away from
X-rays,
and all these different, an MRI and all these things. If you don't have to take it, don't bother doing it. But all of a sudden, it's like life or death situation. You have to kill your healthy cells in order to get rid of the unhealthy ones. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess
it's dinner
quitting time. I'm starving. Anyway, guys, remember, shows now are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So twice a week. Because 4 times a week was way too much. And I'm sure you guys didn't really want to see us 4 times a week. So,
What time is now?
6 p.m. Mountain Time.
On Thursdays too?
Yeah.
And is it a video show? Is it a radio show?
I'd probably do a video.
Okay.
Because the only reason we weren't doing the other was because 9:30 the light was terrible. And
we need to do something about the light here too, because it's kind of. I mean, our light just died.
Oh, it died.
But
it's still good though.
It
works.
It's working.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Thursday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And again, if you know somebody who wants to get interviewed, you want us to cover a certain topic, feel free to email us at transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Again, that's transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Have a good night. We love you. But remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. And loving yourself too is a very important thing because, that's just, because love is important, loving self unconditionally as self is. All right, guys.